Hey, everybody, and welcome to Monday. I'm Jim Williams, and Amedeus is with me. You may hear a little feedback. Amadeus, do you hear any feedback there?
Yeah, just a tad.
Okay, well, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but it's another technical issue Monday. So please, if you can just bear with us, we'll do what we can. Okay. All right, Amadeus. Anything over the weekend that strike your fancy?
Well, of course there is, Jim. I mean, we can touch on the big thing. Obviously, official team of the show here, the South Florida Bulls came through as usual. The gift that just keeps on giving with this
Hmm.
team. 3.5 point dog. Actually, it's funny. I gave them out on Saturday night as a three and a
Hmm.
half point dog when the line came out, and it got
Hmm.
up to 6 on Sunday morning. It got
Yeah.
all the way up to like 6.5, clawed back to about 5.5 by tip off, but there was never a doubt this team was going to win that game. They just, it was nice. It was nice to see them on the other end of the blowout for once. I know the game
Yeah.
did get a little sweaty near the end there, but it was nice to see them pull out to that big, 10, 20 point lead from the start. So that was great to see. And, I did say it last week. I said, you might as well take this team to win the conference at plus
Mm.
250 now because you're not getting that price next week when they beat FAU on Sunday. And sure enough, South Florida is the favorite to win the AAC at minus 115 now.
Well, see, there you go. If you listen to you, then you make money.
Exactly.
So that's the key. I know that the coach and the players heard that yesterday. Of course, there's a 12 o'clock tip, and at 9 a.m. they got there at 8. At 9 a.m., people were lining up to get into the building, which didn't open until 10:30. Now that doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you got 10,000 people going into the building, which is a record crowd, and they're standing in a driving rainstorm, that does, you know, that does show us some impressive crowd engagement. So the players and the coach decided what they would do is jump out, get out to the crowd, and basically go and thank them before they got in the building. And they ran, one group ran out one side, so they came in the east entrance and the west entrance. Another part of the team went and they basically high-fived everybody in the crowd and then came in. And the place, from what I could understand from people that were in the building, said that you couldn't hear for pretty much most of the game. So it was what, I can't explain it, but I have been at different universities in different situations where when the fans get into the building and they get into the game, right? And your team wins, you want to go back. You want that same feeling again. So when you fill the building up like they did yesterday, and you go out and you win like they did, and they got 2 more home games left, that's it. I guarantee you that those people yesterday are going to want to go back again. And so that is what starts what you hope is going to be a tradition of people coming to the games. And when you hear that as someone who, went to the game, said, man, you should have been there, then more and more people want to go. And, it doesn't matter whether it's a college sports team or a professional team or whatever. That's the kind of, word of mouth that you want to have. You want to be able to create that buzz. And right now, South Florida's got the buzz.
Yeah, absolutely. This team just keeps killing it. They're defying the odds at every turn. The one thing I will say is there's a reason I call them the cardiac kids. Even in a game where they were up by 20, it got a little scary at the end. All I'm going to ask is you please stop scaring the crap out of me like that. We need to work on the consistency with those scoring droughts. But other than
Right.
that, this team is doing great things. I mean, how can you not love this team at this point? This is the best team in the AAC this year. And I'll be damned if they're not in the tournament this season.
Well,
This is a tournament-worthy team for sure.
my best friend Vic Tamayo, who attended USF with me, was courtside with Richie Gonzart, whose family owns the famous Columbia restaurants. If you happen to be in the Tampa area, you got to want to hit those restaurants. They are the Gonzmarts, and Columbia restaurant is where in the early 1900s the Cuban sandwich was created. So if you're a Cuban sandwich fan, then you're going to want to go there. But they were sitting courtside, and Vic texted me, that he was hoping that his brother, who's a cardiac surgeon, was somewhere near, because they were a little, close to losing it there for a minute, but they got back, and all things went well. They're ranked by Andy Katz, and at the NCAA.com, you can go there and see Andy's power rankings for the Power 36, and they're ranked 19th. They didn't make the AP top 25, which just goes to prove that the people at the AP are, not exactly paying attention to what's going on in there, but that's the way it is. Andy Katz says, and I can't deny, and I think you're on the same board, that right now it's UConn and the rest of the team. There's not anybody close to UConn.
Yeah, definitely. I know we've talked a bit about Purdue, how they seem to be on a tear this season, and they can definitely get up when they want to get up. But sure enough, they showed on Sunday that they can have that one game that just catches them off guard. They lost to Ohio State, and we haven't seen UConn really do that. They lost that one conference game. I believe they're 14-1 in the conference now.
They are,
and they're 23-2 overall, I believe, or they're 24-2, something like that. And that one conference loss came, I think, on the road to. Was it Seton Hall or Creighton? I think one of those teams. I'll have to check. It was Creighton. Yeah. So there you go. A ranked team on the road, and that came very early in their conference play. And ever since then, they've just been absolutely rolling teams. Marquette's a very good team. Obviously, ranked inside the top 10, and it's a team me and you loved it coming into the season, and they just got absolutely the doors blown off on Saturday. It wasn't even a game, and those are supposed to be two top 5 teams in the country. So just imagine that.
The post game was great, because Shaka Smart said, when they asked him, what went wrong, and Shaka goes, "We played Connecticut. Yeah. What do you want me to say?
We played the defending champions,
right?
And they're still defending."
Yeah, he goes, "What went wrong?" He goes, "We played a good game until they started shooting." And he goes, at the end of the day, I can't fault my kids. They played their hearts out. They played hard. They lost. So sometimes you play a good game, the team on the other side is better than you.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing,
right? And I like Shaka being honest, where he didn't try to say, well, if this would have happened or that would have happened, it would have been different. Well, he didn't go that route. He basically said, look, I'm not going to make excuses. We lost to the better team.
Yeah, and even if you want to say, we played a great game. Well, y'all lost by almost 30. Well, still, this is the best team in the country. And sometimes you got to take motivation into account. Like, look at the way Purdue hammered Indiana in those 2 games this year. That was a team that beat them twice last year. This was a team that UConn had circled this year. They kicked us out of the Big East tournament last year. We were supposed to win that tournament. we're coming for them this year. And that's exactly what happened. So don't think that Marquette, you're clear because you've played them twice now and lost both. Don't worry, you're not out of the woods yet. Because
Right.
if you see them again in the Big East tournament, they still have your number circled.
And then, God forbid, if you get them in the NCAA tournament.
Good luck. See, that's the
Yeah,
thing. I
good
think
luck
it's
with that.
in that situation, it's just one of those things where they're always going to bring their best effort for you specifically this year because of what you did to them last year.
I love the Ohio State win. And those are words you will very seldom hear from my mouth having to do with Ohio State and win. But their new coach, who was an interim coach, his post game was priceless. He said that he almost fainted twice when they got close. One of those players who was sitting next to him said when we came in during the timeout, the coach's hands were shaking, that we felt, he goes, that I felt that maybe I should just stand by him and give him a hug and saying, it's going to be okay. Come on, don't worry, coach.
We need to win this one for coach. He might actually
right.
have a heart attack on the bench.
He may pass away right there in front of us. So, those kind of games, you're sitting there going, good on them. That's the kind of thing that you want to see the players, look at it and go, my God, the man is pale and he's trembling as we're getting close to upsetting Purdue here. And they did. So, good on them.
Yeah, definitely. It was a great win for Ohio State. It was a much needed win for them.
Absolutely.
There was some reek of desperation in that one, and they played like a desperate team. And sometimes that's all you need to win games, right? So sometimes it's just the hunger your team wins. So definitely good effort for them. They knocked off a really good team. I don't think it's going to matter much just because of their performance in the conference. It's been disappointing this year, and I know. May throw a little shade on Ohio State football quite a bit, but that's, I believe, is well deserved. The football team gets a little help here and there, but the basketball team, I feel bad for this team. Every year they're expected to do things, and they always underperform. This year specifically, just I don't know, it's been a bad year. So I hope this new coach gets Ohio State on the right track, because
I'm not gonna be as sympathetic to Ryan Day. So even though he's got Chip Kelly as his offensive coordinator, which is weird, but Chip actually recruited Ryan. I think we talked about that the other day, and Ryan played for Chip. So I guess he figured, if I'm going to be an offensive coordinator, why don't work for Ryan Day? And who knows, if Ryan loses another game to Michigan, then Chip might be the next coach at Ohio State. Yeah. But anyway, so that's that. Was there a lot of action on the outdoor, NHL game between the Rangers and the Islanders this weekend?
I saw a few people mentioning it. I think actually I know somebody who went to that game and had a great time.
At MetLife,
so,
yeah.
So they definitely enjoyed that. So it was a great experience for the fans. I believe so. But
80,000.
I personally didn't watch the game myself, but I mean I heard it was a great experience for people that showed up. So.
The reason I bring it up from that standpoint is that for some reason, and I have my own theory on this, I'd like to get yours on it, but especially because you played goaltender, the over has hit on every one of the outdoor games. I have a theory, and as a former hockey player yourself, I have my theory is this: because you're in an arena, you've got the fans very close to you, right, on the opposite side. It makes it easier to pick up the players because that background is in front of you. Okay, when you are looking out there and the background and the fans are another I don't know, 100, maybe 200 feet away from that that you know intimacy that you get in an arena, I would think it makes it harder to find the players and the puck.
Yeah, definitely. I think that contributes to it. I also think you can get sometimes the glare of the sun when they
Hmm.
do these games in the daytime. That
Sure.
has I've seen players play with sunglasses before.
Yeah.
Also, I think that the consistency of the ice in these outdoor
Hmm.
games. We know that the NHL has had trouble keeping the ice cold and
Right.
melted, and that affects it. As a former,
Hmm.
person who played hockey, I didn't
Hmm.
always play player, but sometimes out on,
Hmm.
when we just wanted to have fun out in the
Hmm.
rink, I was a goalie for games on a team, yes. But
Hmm.
when I was just casually playing with my buddies,
Right.
sometimes, we wouldn't have a goalie. We just all skate
Sure.
and play player. It's harder to control the puck when the ice consistency isn't good, when it's
Hmm.
melting. Sometimes, that there's excess water on the ice, and
Hmm.
it's almost you get the same effect right after a rink is zambonied. Actually, I know quite a
Hmm.
few players who don't even like when the ice is flooded.
Hmm.
And that's why a lot of time you see the goalie go out there and start stopping and making snow, because it's
Hmm.
worse for the goalies on that kind of condition. So
Sure.
that could definitely contribute to that. You end up over sliding sometimes
Hmm.
because of the water, and at the same time with the players, they'll forget the puck sometimes, right? Sometimes the water
Hmm.
stops it, you overskate the puck and cause a turnover. So definitely, I think just the general, all of that put together, as you said, the backdrop of the fans, plus the ice consistency and just everything coupled in with being outdoors is generally why that happens.
When Detroit used to played, and San Antonio used to play in the big arenas, like Detroit played at the Silver Dome in Pontiac, and San Antonio used to play at the Alamo Dome. I would have guys, we would go to the shoot around in the morning just to watch, and you'd have. I remember Isaiah Thomas once telling me that the biggest advantage they had was that teams would come in and they would have a hell of a time picking up the you know the basket on the side where there wasn't any fans. They had a small little portable stands that they could bring in, but it wasn't like the normal arena. So they when you took shots at that end of the court, it was hard for the shooter to pick it up because they could they the depth deal was different, and so it may take them a period or so to get used to that side of the court. So I thought maybe the same thing took place in when games are played outdoors in hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that definitely affects the depth when looking out at the ice. Completely, it's a completely different game, really, right? And that's
Yeah.
the thing. A lot of these guys grew up when you're in the NHL. You grew up playing on your buddies,
Sure.
ice rink that they made in the winter,
Hmm.
whether the front yard, backyard, wherever it is, doesn't really
Hmm.
matter. But that's the thing. You start to get more of that feel, and
Hmm.
it can become a looser game because of it, right? It
Hmm.
doesn't have the same intimate feel as a real NHL game,
Right.
as you said, even though it counts as a real NHL game.
Sure.
You're getting that different circumstance around it.
I know when they did the game in Washington, I had a chance to talk to the guy who takes care of the ice, and he said, look, if it gets above 50, 45, something like that, he goes, that becomes a problem for us because we can't. It's hard to keep the ice at the the temperature level that it needs to stay solid. And
Yeah,
that's, to your point, pretty much what you're saying is it gets a little warmer. Plus, as you also said, and true, that if the sun shines on it for 20-30 minutes as the sun moves from one part of the sky to the other, it can affect even that part from the standpoint of I know that they had to not postpone, but I'm sorry, but delay the game in Washington because they could. The sun was so bright they couldn't see. It was being,
Yeah.
it was reflecting. So even with the sunglasses on, that was not a safe situation. So they waited in that regard.
And that's the thing, right? You get the actual glare from the sun
Hmm.
that you have to deal with, but then it also starts reflecting off the ice,
Right,
and
and
if the
melts the
water
ice.
starts to build
Yeah.
up, yeah, and that's the thing. Like a lot of people might not realize, the ice is very thick. It's a
Hmm.
thick sheet that they lay down, and even in normal arenas, right? Like it's concrete underneath, and it's like it's a very, at least I would say like
It's
that
four
thick, if
inches.
not more. Yeah, so it's a very thick sheet of ice, and
Mhm.
the more that melts, that's excess water piling up that you can't really drain the
Right,
ice with. So it
right,
definitely, it becomes, as the the ice maintenance person said, it becomes a huge problem because it's
right,
mainly the excess water. Now you have to clear off the ice, which is also thinning the actual ice sheet, and
right.
it's making it more dangerous on players who, the more that sheet thins down, the more of a risk you have at a player tripping if it gets too close to the concrete underneath.
Well, he said the other thing is that even in the arenas, right, the ice is on top of the concrete, but on top of the concrete is metal pipes that freeze the ice. So the closer you get to the pipes, theoretically, I mean, you can, much like you have dead spots on a basketball court, have dead spots on the ice that literally the puck just doesn't move.
Yeah, definitely. I actually, I used to know the person who supplied the NHL with
Hmm.
all the Arctic chillers that they
Okay.
use for the ice. So
Hmm.
this was when I was very young, but
Hmm.
yeah, this is something I'm quite familiar with, the
Yeah,
mechanics on
sounds good.
how the ice is frozen with the chiller. They literally they
Yeah.
provide the chiller to most of the
Hmm.
NHL arenas in North America. So yeah, it's definitely exactly how you described with the frozen pipes, and that's what I
Hmm.
was saying with the water excess. Like in my experience, not just water, there are those patches of ice where the puck
Hmm.
just stops, and it's weird, right? Like, and a lot of the times it's closer to the board areas
Hmm.
and those areas, where you're leaving the ice, because that
Right.
tends to get affected a lot more.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's very tough to maintain these the ice during these outdoor
I
games.
yeah, I know that in the arenas, right, where you have multi-purpose, where you play basketball and you play hockey, right? There's basically a pad that's put down, and then the floor is put down. So it's possible, and I've seen it happen where, an NBA team will come in or a college team will come in, and they'll wonder why the heck is it so cold down by the court, and it's because it's sitting on ice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it'd be fun. No, thank goodness no one got injured during the game, and it was quite an exciting game. New York came back and from a pretty solid deficit and beat the Islanders in front of 80,000 people at MetLife Stadium. So that's going to be the stadium where they play the World Cup final in a few years. So
With
been fun out there.
FIFA approved real grass, because
Yeah,
it's good enough for them, but not for your $1 billion NFL industry.
no,
Just saying.
right. It's they play on that. It's not really grass, but it's pretty close to. It's not the AstroTurf of the old days.
Yeah.
It does have a very, if you get if you're sitting next to it, like maybe off the field, but looking at it, it looks a lot like grass,
Yeah.
and it actually feels a lot like grass. But it's not like what the late Hank Stram used to say when they played on AstroTurf. It's a fuzzy concrete. It's
Yeah.
not the fuzzy concrete of the old days,
It's
but
those pellets with the AstroTurf,
yeah,
right? That's what
yeah,
the problem is. It's those pellets, and it's
it comes
just,
up.
yeah, it does come up, and you get like a face full of pellets. It's not it's not great. I don't know what we're doing in the NFL. That's all I'm going to say. We've had this talk before about, multi-billion-dollar
Right.
industry, and we can't
Can't
maintain
use
grass
grass.
at the arenas or at the stadiums. Sorry, even
Well,
though
there's a few stadiums that
yeah.
have the real grass, and
Well, even the head of the NFLPA is now, threatening a work safety issue. So,
right.
something tells me, I know we just had the CBA renewed, quite recently. I think it was just a
Yeah.
few years ago, but man, but we'll see when that one expires. I'm not quite sure when that is,
Well,
but there's
yeah.
definitely going to be some grass
Well,
strikes, I
it's
think.
tougher to cut on that than it is on regular grass,
Yeah,
because when you do, it's less forgiving.
definitely. Right. And that's probably
So,
where a lot of the non-contact injuries come from.
and people, last week we had the Super Bowl. Um, the in the in the time from the final game of the Raiders season, right? The NFL will come in for the Super Bowl and they will put down a brand new turf. So when it doesn't matter where they're playing, that new turf is put in prior from the last game that was played there to the first game that to the Super Bowl, and it'll take that 3 weeks or so for them to put it in and to make it right, and they paint it and do all the other stuff to it. So that's what every time you see a Super Bowl, you're looking at a brand new turf.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. They want it to be, nice and shiny, and as you said, freshly painted.
Well, they also want to make they the league wants to know that turf is pristine and perfect.
Yeah,
So, there you go. That's what you got. In the leftovers situation, the Dodgers will be playing their first exhibition game this week, and our buddy Shohei Ohtani is not going to play. Dave Roberts decided that he wants to give him some time to get comfortable, and not yet.
he's
He'll
been a little too eager at practice to get
Yep,
into batting practice, and now he's like, "You need to calm down. You're not playing
calm
these
down, son.
exhibition games."
Bryce Harper showed up in Clearwater and said that he wanted to redo his contract so that he would be a Philly for life into the 40s. And the Phillies organization sat there and went, okay, didn't we just do a contract a couple of years ago?
We don't want you in your 40s.
So
Retire before you hit the age of 40.
the general manager said we'll look into it. So he and Scott Boras are talking about that. The other part of it was Bryce saying that he's okay with playing first base. I didn't know that you had to be okay with playing first base. I kind of thought that if you're on the team where the manager wants you to play, is pretty much where you're going to play. So he didn't play right field
you got to
because
remember,
of
Jim, these are stars we're talking about, right? The
that's
star
true.
players, it's like you got to get my permission before you put me at a position
Right.
that I'm paid to play.
Right. Well, I mean, I know that normally he's a right fielder, but he was coming off of Tommy John surgery, and they didn't want to take any chances, with his arm. And then Reese Hoskins got hurt, and so they figured, hey, Bryce can play first base, and so they found out that Bryce could play first base, and it's kind of not a bad idea. I remember toward the end of his career, it was the Phillies that took Pete Rose, who had played the outfield, and put him at first base, and probably prolonged his career for another 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think out of all the outfield position, it seems like one of the easier ones to play, just because you mainly just you're there for the the double play action, and it's not a ton. Like if you're out in the outfield, you got to run to get the ball and then throw it after, right? The first baseman doesn't have to do too much movement in that
Right.
sense. Is what I'm trying to say there, right? It's kind of just you wait. And you got to be able to catch the ball. You definitely got to be able. I'm not saying it's easy, right? Because we've seen some of these throws to first base. I'm not definitely not saying it's easy. I'm saying of the 9 very difficult positions to play on the field, I think first base is one of the easier ones, and that's why you see a lot of these guys coming off injury get ushered into that type of role.
For first base, the key to a good first baseman is their feet. Okay, knowing where to put your foot on the bag so that you can stretch and get a ball that somebody might have not quite thrown far enough, or they're bouncing something to you or something like that. The one thing you do not want to do is get your foot too far on the bag so that the guy running into the bag spikes you in the in the ankle, which happens unfortunately too often. But if you watch the first basemen who are very good, Freddie Freeman being one of them, it's all about the footwork with them. And also, you need to be able to break, in on a bunt or something like that, and be able to throw the ball to first base without, in some cases from a bizarre position. Maybe you're bent over, but you need to be able to throw the ball in a way that gets it to the second baseman who's covering first. So it's really more footwork. So, I think Bryce can handle the footwork aspect of it, and do well. And as you said, you have to be able to field some pretty wacky throws from time to time. And you also have to know when to let it go, right? Where you may, where it's, don't stay on the bag if you know that ball is not going to get there. Okay. Get off the bag, catch the ball, and live to see another day, and not have the guy at second base.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is more like the other position. A lot of the other positions, they tend to require more athleticism.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Where the first base is, first base is kind of like golfing. It's all about the technique. And if you can get the technique down, then it becomes much easier to play than, running and chasing a ball around in the outfield and having to shield the sun, still catch it, and then get it back in to try and get somebody out. So absolutely, I think the first base. I'm not saying it's easy to play.
Your point is right. I mean, first base is all about, and golf's a good analogy to it, because it's all about getting your feet in the right position, and it's a head thing, and basically just being aware of what's going on, because the throws are always going to be the key to whether you're successful at first base or not.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Like someone like I say that because obviously, I've mentioned I watched Vladdy in his debut and things like that. First base was the position they stuck him at when he wasn't DHing, because he wasn't really fit to play other positions.
Yeah.
Now he's put a ton of work in the last few years, and he's still playing first base, but he's definitely more capable to play some of the other positions. So that's part of where my opinion on first base comes from, just in the sense that it's like I said, all the positions are very difficult to play. I myself can't even play the sport. When I'm up to bat, my golf swing takes over, so I can just never hit a ball unless it's literally like a splitter in the dirt. Then you're in real trouble. Then I'm knocking it out of the park.
Then it's gone.
But so definitely, I can't play the sport, so I'm impressed by anybody that can. But it feels first base is that position, right? That's when you want to usher somebody in.
Traditionally, players who have been outfielders, more outfielders than any other position, end up playing first base because they don't have the wear and tear on their legs isn't there anymore. So they teach them how to play first base. And so it's no shade on first base. You still got to, no matter where you play in the field, it's a tough thing to do. So, but in the case of Bryce, um, they didn't want his arm to be hurt. They traded Reese away, so they did so, I'm sure, because they wanted Bryce to be the first baseman.
Yeah, and that's why I use the golf analogy, because
Sure.
like golf is the easy sport in the sense where, yeah, you can play it up into your 80s, right? It's a nice casual sport to play, but learning golf is one of the most difficult things you will ever do in your entire life. As somebody who has taught multiple friends how to play the sport, it is not easy and it is not a fun thing to learn. So that's what I'm saying with why it's kind of like the golf of the field, where it's extremely difficult to learn, but it's probably the easier one because you don't have to have those other
Yeah.
things for it. And if you do learn it, then good, right? It's all about the technique. Once you learn, then it probably is the easier of the positions to play.
I remember, to your point about teaching people how to play golf. Um, Took a friend of mine out one day. Said, he wanted to learn, so we went out very early in the morning. Um, to the country club, and started playing. And you tend to time at times in golf to lose time. You don't know where you are, what time it is. And I remember the club pro coming out in his golf cart and saying, "Hey guys, how about I take you in and buy you lunch?" And I'm like, "Well, why would you do that? We're on the sixth hole." And he goes, "Because there's a row of about 20 people waiting for you to get to the next hole. And so perhaps you want to go back. So it can take time." so, so from that standpoint, either I was a bad teacher, he was a bad pupil, or some sort of combination of the two.
No,
But
it's just tough, Jim. It's just tough
it can be
to
tough. Yeah.
learn, right?
Yeah.
Because then people have their own habits too that they want to stick with. And again, it's technique. You need to
Yeah.
get away from that habit that you're doing. That's part of the reason why you're not hitting the ball far.
Right. Or you're hitting the ball in the woods, or you're hitting the ball,
Yeah.
anywhere but where you want it to go. Speaking of golf, we talked a lot about the Genesis Classic, but Machimura won the tournament, and good for him, because he became the leader in all-time wins for Asians on the PGA Tour.
Well, that's great for him. Personally, I'm a little disappointed, Jim, just because right after we signed off on Friday,
Yeah.
Tiger withdrew from the tournament. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't blame him, because we talked about how the Hills were gonna
Hmm.
were gonna kill him. I didn't think he was gonna quit after 24, but man, I know there's people dying to see him get through another full round. So hopefully, maybe we can see him play a flatter course
Yeah.
sometime soon. Obviously, Augusta's coming up, which I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll tough it out for that one. So
Well, that ain't flat by any stretch of
yeah, I
imagination.
know, but that's why I say he'll tough it out for that one specifically.
Well, yeah, and I think you're right. And from what I understand, he had flu-like symptoms, so he actually was, left Los Angeles and went to wherever he was staying in LA, and kind of hung out for the rest of the weekend. So he wasn't even there for the opportunity to be on TV.
Wow, all
So
those people that bought tickets to go watch him play, you could have at least let them watch it, eat some wings in the clubhouse or something. Come on, Tiger. I bet you would have drew a
well,
big crowd for that. There would have been people
well,
crowded at the
yeah,
clubhouse to watch you eat
yeah.
wings.
Well, if he was ill, even sitting there drinking chicken soup, you know, so,
Just let
get
him.
better.
People would crowd though. They would watch him. Like, I came to watch him play. I'm gonna watch him do something.
Right.
Eat your soup.
Or yeah, eat your soup, or you know, people who would be happy to help him with the Vicks vapor rub on, to make sure he felt
Just
better.
imagine people like taking pictures. Oh, he's going for a spoonful.
Yes. Will he have noodles? I don't know.
Oh, I imagine the live betting. How many
Yeah, that's
noodles in the next spoonful.
Yeah,
Oh.
is there a piece of chicken there? I don't know. So anyway, chicken and stars. I don't know. I think we're taking this a little far field,
But
but
yeah, I mean, we'll bring it back. All great job, Hideki Matsuyama. You know,
yeah,
you deserved it. You
yeah,
definitely you're a solid player. Obviously, you're one that's you don't win them all, but you're always there in the running, right? You're always a threat. So definitely good on
man,
you.
he stuck some shots though. There was one he hit from the fairway. It went beyond the cup about, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet, and then rolled back to within maybe a foot. And he did it twice. And you're sitting there going, "Stop it! Just stop!"
Yeah, that's
You're
someone who
making
got
me look bad.
comfortable with the course quick and was like, I can do this.
Yeah, I can fly it. We said that the other day. Fly it and see what happens, right?
Yeah,
Oh
that's him.
man,
After the 2 days, he was like, I'm taking my risk today. And then there you go. You know, that's just how it happens.
yeah. In the other news, we got that LeBron said he intends on playing this summer for the U.S. basketball team in Paris, and you know, I would have been frankly surprised if he didn't. Uh, think of LeBron, and if you're gonna go to the Olympics, Barcelona was one thing, Paris is another. It's not like they're taking them to places where they don't want to go. I mean, LeBron can sell a lot of shoes and a lot of
Yeah.
merch in France.
Look, he's had a great career, but with the talent, the American talent in the NBA,
Mm-hmm.
you tell me if he deserves to be on the starting lineup for the
No,
U.S. men's national team.
no, he's 3 years too old.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So he's on the team. Great. You know, obviously he's an icon, right? That would be like
Yeah,
if Canada put Sidney Crosby on the
yeah.
team Canada, right? It's like you're not on the
I'm
first
team
line,
captain. Yeah,
but we're gonna have him there, right?
yeah.
So that's great. But I'm very anxious to see if he talks his way onto this starting lineup because then now you're affecting the team. Now USA is gonna be in trouble if that's the case.
No, I don't think that. I First of all, I would be concerned if I'm the coach if he could play more than 30 minutes.
Well, who's coaching the team? Isn't it Eric Spoelstra now?
I think it's Eric who has a
Oh,
history with LeBron. Not a good one
yes.
either.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm pretty sure that Eric's going to say no. No,
that's
you
good.
can come
I
and you can
hope.
play, but you're a spot starter.
Yeah. Look, he deserves to be on the team, but
Yeah,
he's not a starter. I think there's better players. There's better American players in the NBA right now. So
right.
I would have a different starting lineup personally, but definitely I agree with you. I mean, he'll go there. You know, he'll bring the family, have a nice
Hmm.
family trip, and he'll sell a lot of
Yeah,
merchandise. So I
yeah,
mean, you know, like I
and
said, we all know, you know, he's on the Lakers just for his post career, right? So
right.
and there's
Hmm.
no problem. You know, do what you want to do. Invest in pickleball with Tom Brady, right? Like
Right.
go do some stuff, but like eventually you got to hang it up in the NBA. Please, just
Hmm.
you're becoming like Jaromir Jagr, and not in a good way.
Hmm. And the other thing, which might be interesting, just like you said about Sidney Crosby, a lot of times guys will be picked on the team because of who they are, because you want the name there. But coaches like an Eric Spolstra who knows the situation will manage the minutes and say, okay, we'll put you in for 5 minutes, here, and it's almost like going to be like a shift in hockey, right? They'll get their little, opportunities to play. And maybe you'll play, 15 or 20 minutes against a Turkey team or something like that. But when they play potentially teams that they could lose to, Spolster doesn't want to lose. So he's going to manage the minutes and make sure that, LeBron doesn't, talk his way onto the court.
Yeah, and look, he'll definitely contribute in those games. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, like,
sure.
you can't have him out there 40 plus minutes like he does for the Lakers in the NBA. It's just look like look at where the Lakers are, right? They're not a great team, and like I said, he's a great player. He's done great things in the league, but he's just you got to know when to hang it up. Brady hung it up, and you were seeing a lot of the greats start to hang it up now, even with the coaching, Nick Saban. It's
Mhm.
just like LeBron, you're gonna have plenty of opportunity to do what you want
Mhm.
after your career, right? Like so, at
Right.
some point, you seriously just got to evaluate
Mhm.
when is it truly time to hang it up. I know he wants to play with his son and all these things, but at the same time, talking about streaming, you're talking about pickleball
Mhm.
and all these other things. So give yourself more time, right? You,
Yeah,
you you retire from the NBA, you'll have so much time to do these things. You can build. Obviously, you already have your brand built, but
sure.
you can expand in so many different directions. So that's what I want to see. I'm just tired of seeing like a mediocre Lakers team every season. Everybody just expects his team to do great things because LeBron's there, but he's just a guy that's past his prime right now. That's all
Well,
it is, right?
if he does what Magic did, right, and became a business person and get involved in ownership, he could own the team, when they put a team in Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. That would probably be a great move for him for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
It
mean,
wouldn't
I'm,
all
I'm
be his
excited to
money.
see.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what he's going to do post career, but we gotta get to post career first, right? I'm
Well,
afraid we might not see that day.
here's the problem too, right? They're not even the best team in their own building.
Yeah,
So,
that they're not the best team. They're not even like close in the division. There's three teams ahead of them in the
right.
division. And keep in mind, the NBA divisions don't really mean anything. They're just there for
Nope.
show.
Yeah. But, when you're not playing well against the Clips, you know you got problems.
Yeah.
So, there you go. All right, well, let's wrap up on Monday. And I know you got stuff going on. Let's talk about what you got going on.
Yeah, it's not a big day for me. I only had the two plays today. One is live right now, so make sure you check out my premium picks at bigowl.com, pickadvisor.com, and the insidersroom.com. The links in the description below. All you can get for tonight is I just got one college basketball play up, but I'll have plenty up tomorrow. So it's not a big day today. It's not a great day, but yeah, make sure you check that out.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. It's been fun. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. And until Tuesday, have a nice Monday. For Amedeus, I'm Jim. Be well. Take care, everybody.